Deputy Mayor
conference
Milne
will now be recorded.
Deputy Mayor Milne is trying to connect, and I'm sure he will as soon as he's able. Hello, Christine, and welcome. Welcome, everyone. We haven't heard from Don Lewis, but hopefully he will connect as well. So I will call the meeting to order. It's 9 a.m. Could I get a confirmation of the agenda as presented? Moved by Joan. Seconded by Heather. Any discussion? Hearing none, that is carried. Oh, sorry, all in favor? Carried. I guess I can do that by hearing no opposition still, can I? Or John, I'll be almost mayor, almost not mayor.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Confirmation of the agenda, we did that. Declaration of pecuniary interest. Hearing none, if you discover anything throughout the agenda, you can declare it at any time. Adoption of minutes. Be it resolved that the committee approve the minutes from the October 11th Southgate Community Fund Management Meeting as presented. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Heather and John. Any discussion about the minutes? Any opposed to approving the minutes? That is carried. Staff updates. There's none listed, but feel free. Okay, new and unfinished business. Community Fund Management Brochure. Be it resolved that the committee approve the Southgate Community Fund brochure as presented, and that the committee recommend that the brochure be updated with friendly amendments as required in the future. Could I get a mover and a seconder to put the discussion on the floor? Heather? And I'm going to call on Joan. Oh, John. Okay, we'll go with John instead of Joan. All right, Holly, do you want to share your screen and maybe put the brochure up? Was there any discussion about the latest and greatest version? I want to thank Holly for all that she did in pulling that together and getting it so that when it folds, it'll all flow possibly well, and balancing the pictures. Heather, you had your hand up?
I think there's a D missing on about us on the word the fund on on the second page.
On the second page. Under about us.
Middle of that first paragraph. The fund was created in 2021.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, it was fun.
It wasn't.
Look at that. She's going to change it on the fly. Good morning, Brian. Welcome. We're just looking at the brochure. Should the township of Southgate, should township be capitalized? It's capitalized in other places as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian. Any other comments?
The only other comment.
Go ahead, Heather.
Just under the, I finally printed it so I could look at it better.
Yeah.
Under the testimonials part from Ellie Adams, I just don't find that very helpful. The first part, the recent grants, I like. But I don't know what else to suggest. I know that Brian suggested like what other kinds of charities or community funds sort of would be part of the qualified. I'm not clear that if someone were to read this quickly that they would know whether they qualified or not to even apply.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think up above, because we talked about the Seniors Advisory Committee, the Quality of Life Health Fair, the Dundalk Teen Town Hall Feasibility Study, and the Friends Dundalk Library STEM, they're pretty older and they were through the community fund, not our community fund.
Right.
So, you know, in the absence of having many to get quotes from, I'm wondering if we could make it, I don't want to change her words, but if we could highlight it, there should be a quotation mark at the front of community, but maybe, I don't know, any suggestions, Heather, that we could make that? Anybody else? Brian, you've been involved with the Community Foundation Grey Bruce for a number of years. Any thoughts?
Not just off the top, other than I guess my thoughts would be that in spite of Ellie's words, maybe, you know, I don't disagree with Heather, but on the other hand, if we want to try to keep it local focused, you know, that maybe is as good as it gets for now. I don't know.
Stuart. Thank you, Brian.
I think that this might be one of the sections that can be updated as the fund evolves and begins to grant. We can integrate a new story here, but I agree, it could be more compelling. It might be interesting to have one of the committee members give a quote about that encompasses eligibility if we think that's missing. Just to make it more relevant, it also might give a local face or a local perspective to it that the rest of the brochure is missing. Something about the management committee and somebody making a statement about you know, hopes for the fund or how the fund is going to dispense in the community. Something maybe a little bit more general or compelling.
I'm wondering if under the About Us, more than the testimony, although we have a little bit more space because we can make the picture smaller, you know, how to find out if you're eligible, you know, or just a reminder that this is for the community. Brian.
Just a thought here while you were speaking there, Barb. I think it would be difficult to have something written there that would reassure anyone of their eligibility. I think it might be better to encourage people to contact the fund.
Yeah.
Because every situation is going to be a little bit different, I suspect. And you know, the general statement, you know, just contact us to see if you're eligible, rather than try to, I don't know, define eligibility on the brochure.
That's what I was kind of leaning to as well. Like, but if a quote from a committee member was, you know, to find out if you're eligible, and it doesn't even have to be a quote from a committee member, just to find out if you're eligible, contact, you know, maybe make it more on both pages somewhere. Heather, you had your hand up?
Right, because under the mission, it does say that, you know, qualified nonprofit groups, but it doesn't give any information to someone to know whether they were qualified or not. So I like the idea of referring them back to confirming their eligibility by going back to one of the foundation itself, rather than trying to explain it on the brochure.
Yeah.
Stuart. Thanks, Heather.
Yeah, and with you know, we don't really have many obstructions to groups. If they don't have their own charitable number and they're a not-for-profit, then we usually, you know, hook them up with someone to be a sponsoring charity. You know, we always find a way to flow the money. So I don't know I'd want to even make eligibility an issue. I'd rather keep it very open. It puts up a hurdle rather than, you know, something welcoming that might make people intrigued. Also, I wanted to say that all of the applications that come in to the Township of Southgate Community Fund go through our community granting call, which is an open call to community. And so people work with our office to establish eligibility, and we coach them to help them write a successful application as well. So the Community Foundation office is always available to support groups that have an interest in or a project they'd like to see supported. And in the first couple of years as well, with most of the community funds, we are chopping up the grants to meet the needs of the community. So the monies that come from Township of Southgate are often matched with other monies from other funds to support a charity's application. So I guess what I'm saying, I don't know if it's something you want to raise on a brochure, because I think it puts up more obstacles than solutions. And saying that, I don't think there are a lot of obstacles. We can usually find a way to route money to a group that's eligible. It's much more about their sustainability, their governance practices, writing a good budget. Like, there's so many factors that determine, you know, if they're successful or not in meeting criteria.
Thank you, Stuart. So if I can just confirm, you just said that the Community Foundation can help you evaluate and complete your application?
Yes, we encourage all applicants to contact the office to talk through their project so that we can help them shape a successful application.
Okay, so you have a pre-consultation type entry point.
Yes.
So there's your statement.
Would it be safe to say, yeah, to see how the Community Foundation granting program can assist your organization, reach out to or contact, and that could be under the contact information, contact the Community Foundation Grey Bruce for a pre-consultation.
Yep.
I like that.
Holly, were you typing? So
yeah,
we could
I do
add
think I have.
underneath the Southgate Community Fund, between supported by and the Southgate Community Fund, there could be an italics.
Or could it be where Ellie's statement is?
I'm not sure it'll fit.
Well, he took hers out. I just don't find hers very useful at all.
We could shorten it for sure. We could.
Because when you open it, that sort of, you could see that, and then the contact information is on that back fold.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way
Yes.
the contact information is laid out right now, because there's lots of open space.
Okay. So to the committee, if we were to shorten, if we leave the quotation in from the chair of the Seniors Advisory Committee and end it after the Community Foundation has been a great support of our Seniors Fair and the Southgate Senior Advisory Committee, end quotation. Or add through funding of. And then there would be room for another paragraph to say, to learn how Community Foundation grants can assist your organization, please contact the Community Foundation Grey Bruce for a pre-consultation.
Could I make a friendly amendment? Suggestion? I would just say applications for funding are accepted on April 15th annually. Visit communityfoundationgraybruce.com to apply, contact the foundation to discuss your application. Something simple like that. So we want contact with them so that we can help them out to apply. If they go to the website, they'll see the application. It's always up on the portal. Every year, our deadline is April 15th for community granting in the spring. So I think stating that kind of lets people know there's an opportunity.
So could you repeat that again, Stuart? Because that's what we were trying to get the message to convey was the fact that you're there to help them with the application process, as opposed to fill out the application and then contact us.
Maybe we could say applications for funding are accepted on April 15th annually. Contact CFGB or visit and then put the website to discuss your application.
And the contact information's on the back, so.
Yeah, it's right beside it.
Applications for funding are accepted on April 15th annually. Contact CFGB to discuss your application.
Sure.
Yep.
And I might suggest adding our website with our contact information. It's not there. You've got fax, email. I think the website's important.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, it mimight be good to, rather than repeating our name underneath our logo, maybe you could put the website there. Because that is the point of application where you would find out more information, not just about the Southgate Fund, but how to apply. Or how to donate too.
Mm-hmm. So we would do that on both the back and the front panel. Just have your logo, possibly larger. We're Here for Good underneath your logo, and then the website under We're Here for Good.
Well, I would blow up the logo and I wouldn't repeat the text since it already says that. I'd put the www.communityfoundationgraybruce.com underneath the logo in both instances, which I think is a better use of space and less redundant.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Some nods. Yep, makes sense. Holly's working her magic in the background.
I'm just wondering, sorry, I did type out what we had discussed, changing the quote, or just shortening the quote from Ellie and adding the part that Stuart had discussed. If I can just share the text
That'd be great.
for confirmation.
Yes, please, Holly.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Could you add, yeah, that's applications for funding are accepted April 15th. Annually contact or visit to discuss your application. Yeah. Could you add stated Ellie Adams, chair of the Southgate Senior Advisory Committee? Is it senior or seniors, Dave? I should know that.
Sorry, yeah, I'm muted. Anyway, it is seniors.
Plural, not apostrophe,
Plural.
just plural. Thank
Just
you.
plural.
So we should change that as well in the Southgate Seniors Advisory Committee in the quotation as well. Holly, please. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Holly. Okay, so let's see how that fits in. I'm sure it will. We can always make it. Anyone hearing that static? Oh, good. It's not just me then. Well, it's bad. It's not just me.
I thought it was the GO train going by.
So Holly, if you could show us the brochure when you are ready.
Yep, I'm just making the changes now, so just bear with.
Thank you. There's also an extra space under mission where it says self-sustaining. That was probably just because of the way it got input. While Holly's doing that, I know that we're going to have a logo discussion. Just from a brochure perspective, will the Southgate Township logo continue as it is for the township be included on the brochure, continue to be included on the brochure? Maybe Christine and Stuart can speak to that.
Yes, I think that the township logo should be integrated, of course.
Okay, thank you.
I will just share my screen. There
Thank
is a
you.
bit of a spacing issue, but I can fix that with a bit more time.
Awesome. So you will be able to take out the text, "We're here for good." Oh, you already did. Look at that. Oh, you didn't. that'll give you a little bit more space for enlarging the logo as well.
Yeah, and we're wanting that removed from the front and back, correct?
Yes, yes. I think we can, your formatting of and spacing of it will can happen because there's going to be some adjustments to, you know, Southgate Community Fund and all of that because of the extra spacing and enlarging the Community Foundation Grey Bruce logo on both those panels. Applications for funding.
Barbara, I might ask Christine to forward Holly our vertical format logo, which will work better on this page size. There's one where it's stacked with the circular thing at the top. It would just fit better.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand. So it goes sideways. It goes vertically instead of horizontal.
There's another version that's stacked, so it's not so wide. So you're having Holly's having trouble expanding. We also don't need the Next 25 circular thing in there, so I'd suggest using the vertical one. It'll look better. It's along the same format as the Southgate one. It's taller.
I see. Yeah. So Holly, don't worry about the format of getting in the website. The font can be made smaller to fit in that paragraph, and Christine can send you another logo option. The Next 25 won't need to be in there, as Stuart mentioned, because that might just add more confusion.
Yep.
But how does everyone like the wording?
I'm good.
And perhaps Community Foundation Grey Bruce has been a great supporter of our seniors health fair.
I still think I could live without that whole quote and get rid of the extra text on that panel, but I'm okay if others like it.
Well, we'll ask the rest of the committee what their thoughts are. Give it some thought. John?
I don't know, then the title, the testimonials then would have to change because it doesn't really.
And that was what we had asked for the last time to actually get some ideas to give people that, you know, how it has been benefiting our community in the past. And as Stuart indicated, this is as we start awarding those grants, we will get those quotes and we can update the online brochure periodically.
Right. Are we printing the brochure at all?
There will be some, but I don't know that it's, Stuart, Christine, what is the practice at the other funds? Have a small supply of them? We don't want reams of them.
Right.
Stuart, you're muted.
I think the only other fund that's working on a brochure is Saugeen Shores, and I'm not sure if they've decided how they're going to use it. But I think a small supply. I mean, nowadays there are corporate practices to try not to print unless it's absolutely necessary. But certainly, if it's downloadable from the website, people could do it at home and have a look, or you could have a small supply for dispersal too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we don't want an outdated brochure floating around. But by the same token, we've spent a lot of time creating this brochure. It could have been an 8.5 by 11 sheet without the folding of a brochure. if it was just going to be on the website. Like the information is going to be on the website, perhaps not in this format. Because this is a 3-panel brochure now. Stuart, have you got some?
Oh, sure. Well, I think you're
Thoughts
right,
on
Barbara. I think that you know, the brochure has a destination. It'll go in racks and offices, and maybe a
Libraries.
distribution strategy to the various places that we've identified in our discussion. It's a great vehicle, so you're going to want to print as many as required to kind of get them out there. But I agree with you. I don't think you want to do a massive quantity where you're sitting on a lot of paper for a long period of time. So you know, maybe redefining the list might give you a little bit better idea of the numbers that you want to print. And economically, I know, you know, sometimes color photocopies can be 6 or 7 cents. It might be better to go to a little print shop and get 1,000 to start off. Might be a bit more economical.
Okay. That will be the next decision as to quantity and where they're going to be distributed to. I think obviously we want to have some workshops, we want to have events, seniors fairs, things like that. And I think the information on the brochure is captured or will be captured, Stuart or Christine, on the website, but in a different format.
Yes.
Okay. So there'll be consistency. So to the committee, do we leave in the quotation from the chair of the Seniors Advisory Committee, or take it out? Brian?
I would suggest you leave it in there in some fashion because, in all honesty, Ellie is a great salesperson, and a lot of people know Ellie, or know of her. So I think purely for selfish reasons, I think we should leave it there in some fashion, like I said, so that, you know, people will call Ellie or Ellie will talk to other people about the fund, and you know, word of mouth is going to be far superior than any brochure we can come up with here. So I think you should leave it there in some fashion with Ellie's name on it somewhere. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. John?
Yeah, I agree with Brian, but for kind of different reasons. I like the fact that we're still a small community, and that bit of personal touch there with somebody's name that's active, that's doing things around, and that just that even a short quote, I think just keeps us as the small community instead of a nameless entity. So I in some fashion, I'd like to see it left in some way. I agree it doesn't, you know, doesn't do tons, but I think it does have an effect. So just 2 cents.
It's not putting the world on fire as far as a quote, but it does show that they supported local, and that seniors health fair was hugely attended. So people will recognize, oh, okay, they were a contributor. Joan, any thoughts? No?
I am muted. No, I'm just going with the flow and watching. I think it's pretty good to keep Ellie there.
That's honest. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, well, let's leave it for now. We're not printing them, you know, like massive supplies, and we'll get it finalized. I'm not even certain your thoughts. Is this for the next committee, the next term committee to decide where they're going to go, and you know, we could get 100 printed for now, and or 500, whatever. We haven't finalized the logo yet. I think though, as it sits right now, what I'm hearing is we'll leave the quote in for now. We will adjust. Holly will work her magic as far as balancing the logo on the front and getting it all to fit. And we'll have a template for loading up onto the website and printing a small quantity. Everyone. So I think the resolution doesn't need to be amended or anything. It's still, the committee approved the Southgate Community Fund brochure as presented, and that the committee recommend that the brochure be updated with friendly amendments as required in the future. And I think what we'll do is we'll say as amended instead of presented. Does that get the job done, Holly? Okay. Just noticed when you flashed that up in the testimonials. Sorry, Holly, could you flash it back up again? Looking for it. The Spring 2022 Southgate Seniors Advisory Committee Seniors Quality of Life Health Fair. The fair probably should be capitalized. That's just, sorry, that was just, I didn't notice it before. Okay.
Yeah, I certainly can do that. And then I'll also fix the other spelling mistakes that we had discussed.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion about the brochure? Hearing none. Any opposed to the brochure as amended, and that the brochure be updated with friendly amendments as required in the future? Any opposed? No. Hearing none. That is carried. Thank you all. That's awesome. And thank you, Holly. All right. Southgate Community Fund Management logo discussion. Christine and Stuart, you're up.
Just by way of introduction, we had a request from, I think it was Saugeen Shores for a revamp. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was Kincardine for a revamp of the Community Fund logo. In previous, a number of years ago, we did a whole suite of them. So they were all standardized with the same format of a image and the text of the name of the fund. And so we approached our designer, Integra Design, to revamp the suite of community fund logos with the direction that each one should be able to be personalized by the community fund and integrate a particular slogan or a catchphrase or a tagline. I'm not sure, Christine, if you could pull the file up, or does Holly have it that we could look at? So Lisa Olson from Integra Design came up with a suite of colors within the palette range of the community fund logo, so that they are, you know, similar in terms of value and coloration. And then there's a whole page of potential color combinations for you to choose. And then if you want to personalize it with a particular tagline, we could work that into the logo design as well. So the template was for to prompt discussion, and the other 5 community funds have all chosen a color palette, and we'll be integrating their catch line there too. So actually, this one has Southgate on it, and you can see the top 2 are the Pantone colors that we use in our branding, and then the ones below are the color combinations that the designer suggested would be have an affinity to our Pantone colors. And the caring, sharing forever is an old community fund tagline. We don't use that anymore, but that's a space holder for whatever we want to use for Southgate. The Owen Sound one, for example, Owen Sound Fund, their tagline is the place you want to give, like the city is the place you want to live. They're using the place you want to give. And Meaford, Grey Highlands, Saugeen Shores are all coming up with their version of this template as well.
Thank
So
you.
Oh, sorry.
No, thank you, Stuart. Continue. It's great.
The effort is to kind of integrate the identities under our brand so that it's identifiable as being Community Foundation Grey Bruce Community Fund, and the image is a distillation of our larger kind of swirling community water drop or whatever it is.
Christine, could you continue to show the logo, please? The templates. We lost the screen share. So to the committee, we had this discussion last week. This was something new, and it was something, the comment that we had, Heather and I, was that we should have one of the Southgate's colors, maybe the vibrant green, in combination with one of the Community Foundation's colors. So the two bottom ones on that page were incorporating the township dark green to complement either the light green or the palette blue, but we're not seeing it now. So
I'm trying to share it, but it looks like my permission to share has been taken away. 1 second.
Oh, Holly can fix that, I hope.
It's still showing on my end, but I'll just reset it. Just one moment.
Okay, thank you.
So while we're doing that, Brian.
Well, I was just going to ask why wouldn't we use both of the Southgate colors, the green and the gold? Because the swirly, I don't know, Stuart called it a water drop. I'm not sure that's what it is, but anyway, not knowing what it is, but nonetheless, the swirly thing, why not make that both the Southgate colors, the green and the gold? Because the swirly flower, I'll call it, is very much identifiable as the foundation's graphic. So, you know, I would suggest using the green and the gold, both the Southgate colors.
Stuart?
Sure, we can do
there
that.
was a reason
Maybe you could
Oh.
send over the Pantone colors and we can run them by the designer. She could see if that'll integrate into the template here.
Great, because we thought that we had to pick one of our colors and incorporate it with one of your colors. But if we can use both our colors, that's even better.
I know designers are very possessive of their creations, so I'll
Yes.
defer to the designer, but that's where I would do.
The designer had asked to incorporate one of those colors into the wheel, but if Stuart's saying that we could change both of them, then we can change that.
I think we could consult with her and send over the two Southgate color matches and just see what she says. You know, we want to be amenable, and I agree with Brian. I think it's identifiable with the that image, whatever it is, a flower. You know, I think that's distinctive enough. But we'll see what the designer says. If we can get the two Pantones to match, we'll see what we can do. We want it to work for you guys. We want you to be happy with it, and if you want it to match the township, I think that's really reasonable. And you're making, you know, there's still the consistent fonts and the formatting. I think it'll be fine.
Sure.
Great, thank you. And thank you, Brian, because we didn't know that that was possible. So great discussion on that one. I guess I have a question to Stuart is if our logo, because I'm pretty possessive about logos as well, and for the same reason you are, we want our township logo to appear on brochures and things. What is it just the wheel that changes with in your logo? Like, where is this used? If we change the Pantone colors of the wheel, does that appear on the brochure where your Community Foundation Grey Bruce shows in place of maybe the 25 fund, or how are you incorporating this changed to identify?
I think it can exist alongside the township logo and our logo. I would just think that, it's the name of the fund. So it would be something we would utilize on the website. And yeah, I would hope that it would appear on all the print materials as well for consistency. But I don't think it's has to be distinct. It can sit alongside those other two identity pieces as well, which is the nature of how the community fund works. So, so it might pose a design challenge, but I don't think that's insurmountable in terms of utilizing the logo for Southgate Community Fund in a variety of different things, whatever you produce.
Yeah, I guess the design issue is where I'm struggling, is where it would appear. You've got the Township Southgate, and then you've got the wheel, and then you've got your wheel, and we've got a lot of logos going on. However, perhaps it's our wheel on the right side of Community Foundation Grey Bruce but then you're looking for a tagline. So we can thank Kincardine for this, I guess. And what's the timing on this? Because we've got to come up with a slogan.
Well, we are working it through with some of the other community funds, so it is something we'd like to wrap up sooner than later, so we can put it on our website too. The slogan could come later too, I think, Barbara. I mean, it doesn't have to be on there. The designer could balance the image with the name of the fund in the meanwhile, but.
I'm going to ask Dave to provide some insight so the township logo has a history there, and if we were to draw on 3 key words about the thumbprints are the integration of our communities, the ring, the gold ring, was for, I just read it actually on the economic development presentation for Wednesday, and it's something that I hadn't read before. If I open it up, I might be able to come up with it. Like, I'm just wondering if we could incorporate the words of how that logo got created there, and I'm pretty sure there were 3.
Yeah, it represents the 3 municipal partners that started the amalgamation. And Barb is right. It's in the. I'm just trying to lay my hands on the exact wording in the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
The tree itself is a symbol of strength and natural growth. The leaves of the tree are the fingerprints that illustrate the unique character and makeup of the 3 distinct communities, Village of Dundalk, the Township of Southgate, and the Township of Agawam. The ring around the 3 trees, fraternity as we grow together in the future. The Southgate logo was designed it was designed in 1999 by Percy Lyle Ashley. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And from that, I got strength, community, fraternity as a starting point. So I'm not saying that that is, but like if we were looking for 3 key words that describes our, and maybe not our logo, but maybe our community is more about we're pretty proud of our waste diversion, but that's not something about building community through funding.
But that's
But
part
it's
of
a
our
starting
strength
point.
and our natural growth. That was another term, natural growth. Maybe Holly, you could send a copy of this. It's slide number 3 in the ECDev presentation to Stuart and Christine. It takes some reading and marinating over that statement to really pull some things out.
I just thought it was a good starting point. It might get us brainstorming 3 key words if that is what if that's what the other funds are leaning to. As you said, Stuart, the caring, sharing forever was previous to that. Your tagline now is we're here for good. It doesn't have to be 3 words, but I'm just looking for a starting point, a jumping off point for the committee.
When you throw some of the words in here together, like fraternities later, but fraternity of our unique character might be a unique character shows up earlier on.
We want to support our community organizations while respecting their uniqueness. I think it's just a tagline. We certainly don't want it to be a paragraph. And I like Dave sending the description to Stuart and Christine. They may, with their creative minds, may come up with something that works really well and can bring it back to the next committee, because I think we'll be a new committee by then. Heather.
It could be something as simple as growing together.
That's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. John, you had your hand up.
Yeah, and I think that's a good idea, is to use a tagline like growing together. But the bigger picture may be, instead of this committee, it may be for council to consider for the township is a short credo. Like I was involved with Toronto Fires when amalgamation happened, and theirs was courage, compassion, and service. And that's something that went through everything, every committee, every division, all that stuff. The other part of it is it's something that is looked at every so often, and it can be a long time. Like, you know, amalgamation was over 20 years ago. So they're looking at that again to see if it still suits what's going on, or if they need to change it a bit. And maybe that's something that, you know, if we could get the ear of the new mayor, we could might be something for the township, is to just have a little credo that flows through these different things, instead of being different on each committee or on each group. It just ties things together, and just gives that. Like I always thought that one for Toronto Fire gave a clear message every time. So just something to think about while I'm sitting back.
Thank you, almost not mayor.
I think that would be a great job for an almost not mayor job.
Dave,
Just
you're
to
muted.
jump on John's thought, there is an opportunity in 2023 when we go out and do our updated community action plan for 24 and on. So that could be an opportunity to engage the public and what do you think about this?
Because we keep saying that we're Southgate grows and growing together. I actually like that. And we want to celebrate our unique histories. We want to embrace the uniqueness of the communities. So hopefully, I think that would be a great exercise. But for now, let's see what Stuart and Christine can come back with for the community fund. Thinking, I like that growing together. Brian?
Sure.
Almost Mayor?
No, yeah.
And it's not that it can't change, right? It's
no,
not
exactly.
that it can't change.
I would be careful trying to come up with something that would encompass, everything in the township without consulting the community for sure. But if something like growing together would satisfy our needs in the short term, then I'm good with that.
Right, because this fund supports each other, supports our communities.
Yep.
While we grow together. All right, Holly, if you could send that page 3 of the deck to Stuart and Christine, that'd be great. And maybe actually copy the rest of the committee. Heather wouldn't have, and maybe John hadn't benefited from that deck. Okay. Do you have what you need, Stuart and Christine, for now? Okay. 8.3 workshops for financial planning, verbal update, Christine McGregor and Stuart Reed. You're up again.
Well, we're supporting a financial planning workshop upcoming with that Owen Sound and Meaford are collaborating on, the two community funds. Kincardine has some experience in this area. They've done a number of these will writing workshops, and the Community Foundation is offering one next spring with a guest speaker, Paul Nazareth from the Canadian Association of Gift Planners. And that's going to be offered to financial planners from across the region. They'll probably be held in the Owen Sound area. We had booked Grey Roots, the Grey County Museum. It was originally planned for this fall, but scheduling was difficult, so we've moved it to April. So there's three things going on around the region. I think you were interested in perhaps getting one off the ground in Southgate. So I could talk to Kincardine about borrowing their template and share with you the poster and what they did. I participated in the last couple of down there. Usually we reached out to a local lawyer to talk about tax law, and then we had a financial planner who was able to talk about planning an estate and the elements of estate planning and writing a will. And usually the community foundation or someone talks about philanthropy and the advantages of some types of gifts that might support philanthropy in an estate plan as well. The last couple have been online and that Kincardine offered, but they have done some in person too. So there's the option either way there. And yeah, it's just a matter of picking a date and putting together a roster of speakers and offering it out to the community.
Thoughts from the committee?
Oh, I'm sorry, Barbara. I think you cut out there. I missed the first part of what you said.
Oh, are there any thoughts from the committee? Brian.
Well, I was just going to say that I think that's a good idea from Stuart to get Kincardin's template to see what they're doing. They have some history and some experience. Not to mention that, you know, Stuart's experience for sure would be very helpful, so that we don't stumble falling out of the gate, so to speak. We want to come out of the gate and look like we know what we're doing. That's why Barb's the chairperson. So let's give that some thought, and we can hash that over a little more.
Yeah, I think if we could bring that forward to the next committee and decide on what we can offer in the spring, early summer. I do recognize that in-person gatherings are important. Finding a facility that doesn't require a great deal of travel from one side of the community to another is a challenge. We don't have anything in the middle of Southgate right now. We might want to hold two, if that's even possible. One in Dundalk, one in Holstein area. The financial planners, the one that you're offering in the spring, Stuart, with Paul Nazareth, you said that was for financial planners, or so the community wouldn't be invited to something like that?
Well, it's an open invitation, but it is designed for financial planners, and we offer professional development credit to people that are attending. So there's incentive for them to come for the training and the information. It's not to say that someone that was just interested in the topic couldn't attend as well.
Okay. I still like the idea of having a community information session where we bring in those local experts if we have them in our community. I'm sure we do have tax lawyers and financial planners, estates and wills, or at least semi-locally. Also the philanthropy side of things, how you can incorporate philanthropy into your estate planning. So to the committee then, Stuart, can we get that on our next agenda, perhaps with the next committee, to talk about 2023? Okay. Any other suggestions for workshops or ideas for this? Just carry on and we'll have the discussion in the future. Okay. Dave, any thoughts?
If I may, I've got a different subject that I'll maybe throw out is we have been talking about housing quite a bit lately at staff level at the county with planners, and I met with the seniors committee, seniors Young at Heart and Dundalk. And one thing that I was wondering is any other community looking at creating a specific housing fund that people could donate to, because I think this is going to be a subject that in the years ahead is going to pull more at the heartstrings of people, and that we could draw on such a fund to support affordable housing in the future.
That's probably for you, Stuart and Brian. Oh,
well, I just had a question of clarification from Dave. What you mean? You'd be asking members of the community to donate to a dedicated fund to housing? Is that what you're meaning?
Yeah, a fund that if they wanted, so felt strongly about it, because one thing that's come up is, you know, we maybe don't have people on the streets per se that we see, but they do in Owen Sound. We have people living in vehicles and couch surfing and so on. And it's only going to get worse with this housing thing. You know, people donating to a fund that this committee would then roll the funding out to whatever, building rental accommodations that would be, or support the South Grey Housing Corporation as a participant in funding projects.
We don't have any of those in the works at present. I think it's also about the model, Dave. It might be, I mean, the
Yep.
Community Foundation can only transfer money to other charities for the charitable purposes for which we exist. Now, poverty, alleviation of poverty, and community well-being and everything is in there. We haven't had that initiative undertaken yet, but it's interesting to me what you're saying. I'd have to think about that and see, you know, how the model would serve the community. The other thing with the foundation's funds is we always hold dollars in perpetuity, and so the nature of that is that we build the capital of a fund, and it generates 3 to 5% of earnings each year. So it's about the long range investment in community well-being because there's a steady payout. The nature of housing and such sometimes requires much larger amounts, and I'm not sure that investing in endowed dollars might be the direction that people would want to go. If they came up with a few $1 million, they'd probably want to deploy it directly to a solution in terms of a capital planning or building. So it's just a little bit of a question related to the modeling.
And I only bring it up just as I think that's a discussion in the coming, you know, months and maybe years that we need to have, because at the same time we're trying to put together a partnership between Hanover, West Grey, and Grey Highlands and Southgate to create this housing corporation, build expert capacity to create projects. And one thing they would look to would be putting a mortgage on the building, but also working with Habitat for Community group and trying to get funding from different areas. And this may be one that would be a group that could put together a fund over the time that you know this is in place to fund different projects. But it would have to be application based again, and in the corporation would have to justify such a project in a community.
It's a provocative question. I really welcome it. And I would also like to tell the committee that we are hosting another Vital Conversation on Housing coming up on December the 1st. And at that meeting, we're going to hear from some municipal leadership in dealing with housing. The Bruce County has just released Affordable Housing 101, a toolkit on forging partnerships with developers and getting new projects off the ground. So we're going to hear from that team. The Institute of Southern Georgian Bay has also been convening an ongoing discussion circle about the commodification of housing, and that's how it's affecting our region. And they're going to, Barbara's been part of that. And we're going to be hearing from Marilyn Struthers about some of the work that they're doing and the toolkit that they've put together for municipalities. So those are just two of the discussion points in that afternoon. And it follows up on our housing report that we released last May and keeps the conversation rolling. So we're offering new data on housing in the region, and there'll be an opportunity to hear from people on the call. It'll be an online conversation convened, and there'll be small discussion groups, and we're hoping to learn a little bit about some of the creative solution making that's out there and how we build the types of partnerships that are going to respond to the complex problem of housing in our community. So just really dovetailing, Dave, on what you're setting out in your question.
We had a really good discussion with planners up in Owen Sound, and I think planners now, this new Bill 23, should be part of that conversation because they're kind of turned upside down right now.
So if I may, it's unfortunate that December 1st is the Grey County Council Training Day, and it's all day. So I think though staff and planners may want to be part of that December 1st Vital Conversation on Housing. Will it be recorded since it's virtual, Stuart, for viewing after, or for any of us who are interested in hearing, the conversation?
Yes, we'll investigate that, Barbara. I'm not sure, Christine, if we've planned on recording.
That's still being discussed.
Okay. Dave, if you can maybe have that on your radar. Would you be going to the Grey County training, council training?
That's, we're just talking with the clerk on that very issue. You know, whichever
Right.
is the most important, we may want to, I know
Yes.
Lindsay's going, so that may be something we can cover off.
Divide and conquer. Awesome, because that sounds like a really interesting conversation for sure, and certainly educational to hear from the various communities that are already making strides towards affordable housing. Okay, correspondence none, members privilege. I think we started on that right now. There's Joan. Joan?
No, it's not about members' privilege. I just wanted to touch a little bit on what Dave said. I know there is a model like that in Peel for people that are couch surfing or might have a little bit of an issue with rent, but it's an application-based support. And if they're behind in their rent, they will pay it, but they pay it directly to the landlord. And they also give them like 3 months rent, but it's paid directly to the landlord to help them back on their feet. So I love what you spoke about. I think that could be a model that sometime in the near future that we could come up with.
I actually think the county has something similar, don't they, Brian and John?
Yeah, they have a program similar to that. And United Way, they do a lot of work in that regard as well. So I guess my to respond to Dave's, you know, I agree with Stuart. It's a provocative question, but you know, I'd be cautious that we don't try to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. There is a lot of work, good work going on in the community now. More is needed, no doubt, but let's not try to reinvent the wheels.
No, and good point, Brian, but this was not meant to in any way, you know, give a handout to people. I mean, there is social services and United Way and all those sort of things. This is to try and build capacity. And I think givers would be more intent to be happy with giving to capacity that would create a place, whether it's a 600, a tiny home, you know, 600 square feet, 800 square feet, something that these people can live in. Because the big void that come out of the discussion is there's a missing $300,000 to $400,000 home type capacity in anywhere. Where do you buy such a thing? Doesn't exist.
Agreed.
I think also this is a whole other subject separate from Community Foundation Grey Bruce, the housing issue, and you know, even if you could find a $300,000 to $400,000 home, there's a lot of people who can't get into one of those, and we need more affordable, attainable rental units as well. So it's a much larger discussion. Okay, so members' privilege. This is probably our last meeting for this committee. Comments? John?
Well, I said it at the last meeting, my thank yous to everybody in that, and then found out we had another meeting. So for everyone that was here before, I mean it again this time.
Or still? Thank you, John. We appreciate all that your leadership and your participation as well.
I have nothing.
Okay. All right. Well, I do want to remind everyone that the applications for this committee and others are open until November 18th. You can fill the application in online and tell your friends. There are other committees that may be of interest as well. Please share widely, because we definitely need to promote our participation from our residents on our various committees. And we can only do that, you know, again, by word of mouth as well, and promote how wonderful the experience has been. And it's a paid position. I think we don't do enough to promote how we, the importance and the ease with which people can get involved. All right,
We'll take anybody.
staff. Yeah, look, we got Brian.
Yeah, I'm here. So, you know, the
And
bar's
me,
not that high.
yeah. Right. Well, we hope that the new term of council, and we have, you know, Joan John is now a council-elect, so we'll see which way her preferences have lay or lie going forward. But we need to replace several members or from the community, so we need to get the word out. Holly, Dave, Stuart, Christine. Dave.
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Thank you for your support of this committee and getting it off the ground and having to change the terms of reference midstream to make it work. Okay. Well, hearing no other members' privilege, we have a resolution to adjourn this meeting. Be it resolved that the committee adjourn the meeting at 10:16 a.m. I have a mover and a seconder, please. John and Brian. Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you all very much. I've enjoyed the experience.
Take care.
Holly, I'll give you a call.
And I'll be dropping into the office probably